Okay, it's recording now. So hi, Tom. So I guess my first question for you is, what led you to write creative nonfiction?
Oh, I think
what was the appeal?
It's because I got my start there.
Mm-hmm.
In 1968, I think it was, in the incredible turbulence of the 60s,
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was 67, there was a newspaper called the San Francisco Express-Times, which was, a far-left underground paper, but very literate. And a friend of mine told me to stop by the office, and I met him and the editor-in-chief, a guy named Marvin Garson, who very talented, but also way out there by then. The times were crazy. And anyway, so I told a story about being on Big Sur recently at a wedding, and everyone was taking drugs, and it was pretty far out. And Marvin said to me, in one of the strangest things anyone's ever said to me, he said, you ought to write that down. And I said, why is that? And he said, I'll print it. So I went home, and I think I was 22. I went home and I wrote it and rewrote it, and then I brought it to Marvin, and he said, great, I'll print it. And then all of a sudden I was a published writer.
Wow.
And he gave me a stack of the underground paper, and I went and sold them in North Beach at the corner of Broadway and Columbus, and argued with tourists about the Vietnam War. And then Marvin said, do you have any more? Which I thought was the second strangest thing I'd ever heard. And I said, yeah. And so then I just kept writing, one a week for, 25 or 30 weeks. And so this was new journalism. That is, I was very much in the story, even though I was a journalist. I was actually just writing about life and the world.
Right, from your perspective.
Yeah, and I was very much in the story.
Right.
So I would guess that's in part what you call creative nonfiction, using the freedom of fiction, but it being about something out in the world and true to the facts of that. Not just true to the facts of life, but to the facts of one's own life and the lives you're reporting. So that's how I got started. And then an editor in New York City saw those pieces and invited me to do a book, and that book became my first book, Tales for the Son of My Unborn Child. And that's how I became a writer.